So as of now, you guys probably know Darko Rajakovic. I was saying Rajakovic, but thank you for the guy who commented and told me similar to the other Serbians and guys with Slavic names. You guys also know that, or if you have been following my channel, that I'm from Yugoslavian descent. My grandfather was born in Maced, back in Skopje in Yugoslavia in 1916. So Darko Rajakovic is the new head coach. He's a defensive guy, but what he's known is a player development guy. He's also an X and O tactician. He has really good communicating and relationship skills. Longtime NBA assistant. He was a G League head coach. He worked with the Serbian national team, and he's also, coached in Spain. And they said part of the reason why Nick Nurse they moved on was the lack of player development, and the reason why they chose Darko, and they almost went with Charles Lee and even Kenny Atkinson were looking for a guy that can develop players. So here's a quote from Eric Corrine of The Athletic. The Toronto Raptors used to be known for their player development under Nick Nurse and Dwayne Casey, but then that reputation faded in recent season, and Nick Nurse was part of that, even though he was also part of the reason why it was cultivated. And the front office took issue with Nurse's inability to develop players drafted in the back portion of the first round and second round, and the two-way contracts. The guys like Malachi Flynn and Delano Banton were guys that Delano Banton showed so much promise so many different times, but never was able to secure a roster spot. Malachi Flynn, another guy. And that led to Nurse playing his starters the most minutes in the NBA for 2 years in a row. And the new coach, Darko Rajakovic, is known for his player development skills. And they're looking towards resetting, if not outright rebuilding their roster. And player development will be key with this new roster. So let's look at this, because they believe Rajakovic is the guy to push things forward in that area. And when I look at the team, I think, okay, let's look who's the young guys that they would want to keep as their core. Now, obviously, it brings up an interesting part of this roster as their contracts. We already heard Gary Trent and Fred VanVleet are not expected to return. So those two are gone. OG Anunoby, Pascal Siakam, Chris Boucher. I think Pascal Siakam and Chris Boucher probably gone 29 and 30 right there. OG Anunoby, I believe he's a perfect fit next to Scotty Barnes if you're rebuilding around Barnes. Thad Young and Otto Porter, they're definitely gone. Then you got yourself Precious Achiuwa, which you could think a starting lineup of Precious Achiuwa, Scotty Barnes, OG Anunoby. Maybe you throw in Malachi Flynn, Joe Wieskamp, and Christian Koloko. Bring back Delano Banton, Jeff Doughton, Ron Harper. And they're supposedly going to keep Jakob Poeltl. So you have right there kind of a core that's going to be, I think right there that core brings defense. So, Precious is a willing shooter. If they keep Malachi, he's a willing shooter. I think Joe Wieskamp could be a guy, if he actually gets NBA minutes, he's shown some athleticism. He could be a guy that really helps them out. And I think this is a team that, It's definitely interesting because they already had Otto Porter exercise his player option on April 25th, 2023. I expect him to be traded, but this team is going to rebuild.